now call cause number 23CR263, the state of Texas versus Kenneth Lee Robbins, is present with his attorney, Mr. West, and the state's attorney. Everybody is ready. Bring the jury panel.
Matter for a pre-trial.
Hey, oh boy, 10 inches of snow. I got a snow day, and let's watch some court. Laura, I will bring you up to speed. If you have any idea what I did to poor Laura, one of the oldest and most dear friends and subscribers to this channel, I banned her yesterday by no fault of my own. Actually, all fault of my own. Hold on, let me get it going. What's up, people? Oh, we are trickling in. Oh my god, it feels forever since I had this going. So let's do this. Let's get Laura up. We're gonna go just do some court watch, just have some fun. I'm sitting here, I'm like, why not just go live? And because I'm watching court on my phone while I'm watching Netflix. And I watched that Griselda with Sofia Vergara. My god. Badass. But Griselda in real life is ugly. Oh boy. Oh my god. All right, let me get Laura in here and she will be. Why is it not letting me? Hold on, I gotcha. Add as mod, and there you go. Okay, you're blue. All right, let's do this. Let's get some Judge Bryant up in here.
The defendant has another case in the 36th District Court before Judge Roberta Archer that comes from the same transaction or events. I've spoken to both Corporation Counsel as well as the Wayne County Prosecutor's Office, and we've agreed to something, and we would ask if we could follow that date of February 20, 2024 at 9:10 a.m. The defendant did appear at the last action date, which was February 6, 2024, but was unable to complete his appearance due to some personal conflict, and where he was actually asked to leave the courthouse by, I think it must have been court personnel, not the bailiffs.
Excuse me, I have to correct that. I wasn't asked to leave, Judge.
Okay. I stand corrected. Say less, though, Mr. Evans, please.
Uh-oh.
Yes, sir.
Thank you. So we're just asking the defendant, this is important to him. I'm here as counsel for him for that purpose. He and I have communicated. He is not recalcitrant in any way with respect to the instant case and a resolution. I anticipate that will happen next Tuesday with the permission of the court. He's on alcohol tether, Your Honor, as well, without incident.
I don't think I have space next Tuesday, but let's see.
It's okay if we can't do it. I'm going to rely on whatever's convenient for the court.
29. But Mr. Flanagan, do I have a bench trial that day, don't I?
Yes, Your Honor.
Jimerson at 10:30.
That's my case. Oh, that's
Oh.
not my. No, it's not. I'm sorry. I have a defendant named Jimerson, but not in here.
Frank was nothing. All right, let's see.
Flanagan, wait.
Eh.
I'm still
All right,
working
let's
out
go.
of 2 books, Mr. Flanagan.
Who in this cause number 726-092, who's charged with the offense of criminal trespass of property. Is that you?
Yes, sir.
In this case is a Class B misdemeanor. It's possible in this case that you could be punished anywhere from a minimum of 0 days in jail up to 6 months in jail. In addition, there's a fine possible anywhere from $0 to $2,000. Do you understand what you're charged with and what the possible punishment could be in your case?
Yes, sir.
I'm looking at a document entitled Defendant's Consent to Plea by Video that you have signed and your attorney signed. When you signed this document, what you did was you told me that it was okay to do this by video, that we don't have to do it in open court. Is that correct?
That's correct, sir. Thank you.
I'm looking at a document entitled Defendant's Waiver of Constitutional Rights, and you have signed it and your attorney has signed it. Did you go over this document with your attorney?
Hold on, guys.
Yes.
Just give me a second. All right, let's get some Judge Boyd up in here. Boyd. All right, let's do it.
His attorney, and he's retained, so he has the ability to do that. Court is calling 2023 CR 11045, State of Texas versus Fernando Rene Cordova Mejia. Can our parties announce for the record for the state?
Daniel Escobar for the state of Texas.
Defense.
John Pettis for defense.
And are you Mr. Cordova Mejia?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, your attorney has filed a motion to withdraw. Are you aware of that motion?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Counsel?
Judge, I've been notified by my client that he wishes no longer to proceed with my services. And he wants to instead try with the court appointed attorney.
Any objections to this motion to withdraw?
No objection, state.
All right, then you're withdrawn.
Thank you, Judge. Maybe excuse.
Yes, you may be excused.
Thank you.
Do you need an attorney appointed to you?
Yes, ma'am.
All right.
It's quite the
So,
bowl
just have a
haircut.
seat, and we will get an attorney appointed to you, all right?
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. 9548.
Officers who are here, I'm reviewing your documents. Just give me a moment.
Oh, Laura dropping bombs. Nothing going on in this one. All right, so you know what? You know what I'm gonna do?
All right, thank you. Okay, no problem. I'm trying not
See.
to.
Indictment alleges that you were previously convicted of burglary of a habitation
Uh-oh.
December 1st of 1980, and that after that was final, you were convicted of burglary of a
1980. Oh my god.
building, a second degree felony,
I wasn't even born. That was the year I was born.
June 22nd of 1987. And after those were all final, you were convicted of burglary of a building, a second degree felony, July 5th of 1994. What that means, sir, is that if you go to trial and you're found guilty, the range of punishment for this offense would be that of a habitual offender, which is a minimum
Thank you,
of
Laura.
25 years in prison, up to 99 years or life. Do you understand what the possible consequences are if you go to trial? And I have a plea bargain rejection that has your signature on it with that of Mr. Parker's that shows that the district attorney's office has made an offer if you wanted to enter a plea of guilty, and that's for a 10-year term in prison. You have every right to reject that and have your case set for trial. I just want to make sure you understand what the possible consequences are and what your options are. You understand all of that? And do you want to reject that offer and have your case set for trial? All right, we'll get that done. Mr. Leday, Mr. Parker has been appointed to represent you at this point. He's one of the attorneys who handles a lot of cases for me as a court-appointed attorney. With your permission, I can release him and appoint another attorney today who could begin preparation for trial. Is that okay with you? All right, Mr. Parker, you're released. Mr. Leday, we will appoint someone today. They should be out to see you to begin preparation for trial. Thank you.
Gary Jones, reached your own agreement this morning, is that correct?
For you to celebrate Women's History Month, Nate.
Put in here 2023. in your
Cause
report, that
number,
should be
let's see,
2024,
Dwayne Watson,
correct?
cause number
Yes, sir, I
23,
apologize.
GCCR 0283.
You realize he didn't have any cases, right?
For failure to comply
Morning,
with
sir.
the judgment.
Are you Dwayne Watson? And will your
That
client
is-
waive the formal reading of the motion?
You will, Your Honor.
Mr. Watson, I have a first amended motion to revoke your community supervision. Shows that you were placed on probation August 22nd of 2023 for the offense of unlawful possession of a firearm by a felon.
Ooh.
And that was a 10-year term in prison that was probated for 10 years. Is that correct? It alleges that you violated your probation. Count 1 alleges that you failed to report as directed to the probation department since your release from the Jefferson County Correctional Facility on August 22nd of 2023.
Thanks,
And
Laura.
is that true or not true? True or not true? Thank you. Count 2 alleges that you failed to provide verification of performing the community service hours as required. Is that true or not true? Count 3 alleges that you were behind in your court assessed fees as of November 30th, 2023 in the amount of $300. And is that true or not true? And then count 4 alleges that you committed the new offense of failure to identify giving a false or fictitious information on November 7th of 2023 in Jefferson County, Texas. And is that true or not true? It does, and it's also numbered. Yeah, okay. State abandons the last count, which is numbered 3, but actually would be 5. Did you enter your pleas of true to counts 1 through 4 freely and voluntarily? And did you plead true to those counts because they're actually true? I have here on the computer some documents that have your signature on them that the state has marked as exhibit number 1. Before you signed these, did you go over them with Mr. Parker? Do you fully understand them? And do you understand if I follow the agreement that you've made with the district attorney that you'll be waiving or giving up any right to appeal? State tenders number 1.
No objection.
It's admitted. Any evidence Mr. Watson's not competent. All right, sir, I'm going to find that you entered your pleas of true to counts 1 through 4 freely and voluntarily. Find those counts true. Find sufficient evidence to revoke your probation, and at this time, revoke
from a ticket on August 11th of 23. He is suspended out of 14A District Court. I don't know what the warrant is for because I'm not looking at JIS.
Oh,
That's
who's
for
got a
ticket number
baby?
23S000799B. He is okay. He's suspended out of 34th District Court for no proof of insurance from an August 11th, 2023 event. He is suspended out of Romulus for a ticket from January the 26th of 2020 for a failure to comply with the judgment for no proof of insurance. So yeah, those are the ones.
Thank you, Your Honor. If I could get an adjournment in this matter so that Mr. Chambers can hopefully get the.
Let's give them at least 30 days, which puts us, well, do you maybe?
Guys, just give me a minute. I'm just figuring everything out again for this. My bad. Sorry.
These warrants resolved.
Is that the 34th?
34th and 36th, Mr. Chambers.
35th.
35th.
Pre-trial is adjourned to April 2nd, 2024 at 9 a.m. Bond is continued.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Sorry, sir. Yes, it is.
Call for me, Your Honor.
Yes, I'm sorry, sir. Yes, it is. I'm sorry.
Okay,
Yes,
thank you.
you're all set, sir. Have a good day.
So come back. What was the date you said?
April 2nd at 9 a.m., sir.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. Have a good day.
You have a good one. You too.
All right, the court will call the Vincent Klein matters, case numbers 23S000005, as well as 23S00477.
Rachel McDuffie for the people. Assistant Public Defender Sandra White on behalf of Vincent Klein.
Mr. Klein,
Oh boy.
Good morning, Judge Washington and Ms. McDuffie.
good morning.
Here
Mr.
we
Klein,
go.
please state your name for us, sir.
Vincent Klein.
Thank you.
Yeah.
All right. We're here finally for sentencing on these cases.
Yes, Your Honor. And I have reviewed the report with Mr. Klein. He does understand the sentence agreement. And he does wish to have the time served, but he understands the agreement that he made and that he has to follow that.
All right. So as I understand the agreement, so we're all on the same.
Put in here
page.
2023 in your report. That should be 2024.
What I wrote in my notes were in case number 23S00005, he was to plead to count 1, no contest, count 2, dismiss, count 3 have been amended to a use of meth. The agreement was upon successful completion of the felony recovery court
Okay, so what I'm going to do now is I had a court case from the Wolfpack out of Tennessee, and it was a very great and intriguing CPS custody case, mom and dad testifying. I got the whole thing. So let's do that. And let's just get one court case so we could discuss, have a good time with it. This one is very entertaining. So I'm going to get it up and let's just, this one is a great one. Okay, let's do this. Okay. All right. So set up here. What we got is, of course, the Wolfpack. All right. And then, so first, it's the officers on the scene. We have dad here. Mom is on the right side. Left side is dad. Attorney's going at it. They are questioning the cops. I fast forward through all the boring stuff so we get the meat and potatoes of everything. Dad has testimony. Mom has testimony. We got it all. All right. Let's roll.
24, correct?
Yes, sir. I apologize. That was a typo. I'll fix that.
Good. On January 27th of this year, 2024, did you have an opportunity to?
So they rolled up on the house, and dad and his brother, so uncle, live in squalor. Supposedly, he doesn't have any time to clean. They are vets with supposed PTSD and other things going on. So we are going right into where the cops on the scene and CPS and the sheriffs are being have testimony.
Go to the home of Mr. Robert Allen Gervin.
Yes, sir.
And it says here in your report that was around 1,850 hours. What time would that be?
That'd be around 6:50.
Okay. And that was at 9311 Magnum Drive, is that correct?
Yes, sir.
And whereabouts in the city of Dixon is that?
Apartment complex down off of Beasley Drive in Cowan.
And Officer Moss, I'm going to give you the floor at this point. Can you describe to the court, from basically start to finish, when you got there, what happened, who did you see, who did you talk to, and what condition did you find his apartment?
I would need to see my report to reference his exact name, but we got to the apartment. The uncle was there watching the kids, and per dispatch, they had a order saying that he wasn't supposed to have any contact with the kids. And from what he told me, the father left the kid, or the child, I should say, with the uncle due to wanting to go out and make money.
So I can give you the report out of counsel, I will do that if you need it, but it was John Gervin, was that the name of the uncle?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And at the time that you got there and you're talking about having to go make money, what was the purpose of him having to make money on that day?
He said he wanted to go, or the father wanted to go out, do DoorDash deliveries so he could get the daughter some spaghetti.
Okay. Was there references that he didn't have money for food at that time?
Yes.
Tell the court then, continue on. What condition did you find the apartment when you were talking to Mr. John Gervin at that time?
Okay, so when we walked in, Mr. Gervin had the stove on because he said his hands were cold and he was trying to heat up the apartment to warm up, and also uses the stove to light his cigarettes. It was probably one of the most disgusting apartments I have been into in my law enforcement career. There was trash piled up, probably about close to approximately 4.5, 5 feet high in the closet. There was the stove had trash all over it and dirt all over the stove, which I did include in my pictures. And also, it could be, if you need to see body cam would show just how disgusting it was. There were bugs coming out of coffee mugs.
I'm sorry, bugs coming out of coffee mugs?
Yes.
Oh.
There was a thing of ice cream on the counter that was melted and just sitting on the counter. The daughter's room was trashed. There was trash all over the apartment, and it was definitely unfit for having a child in that apartment based on what the conditions were. And I did make a DCS referral based on my observations.
Okay. Have you heard back from that DCS referral? Have they contacted you in any manner?
No.
Okay. I want to show you some photographs. Some more, we'll hand those to you. Ask you if you recognize those photographs as the pictures you took on that day.
Yes, I do.
Can you pick a couple of those out and describe those for the court as to what you saw and why you took a photograph of these types of scenes in the apartment?
Well, I wanted to document just what we saw. So on this first one, you can see the stove, and also there wasn't a single clean dish anywhere in that apartment. They opened cabinets up and there weren't anything clean. It was, so you can see on the stove is dirty pot, pans. The photo's lousy or lousy print, but all the markings on there was just dirt all over that stove. So this one, that was the just showing all the dirty dishes. Trash piled sky high in the apartment.
Oh,
Trash piled sky high, and we talked to Mr. Gervin about it, and I told him, why didn't you clean this place up? And he said, well, it's due to a snowstorm, but that's A, week prior, and B, there's a dumpster right there in the apartment complex.
a snowstorm. Don't mind the cockroaches. The snow is terrible this year. You know, like when you have a cop saying it's the most disgusting, do you know how many disgusting apartments and houses they go into? And for this cop to say it's the most disgusting place he's ever been to, it had to be appalling.
They can just take trash right down to.
How far away was the dumpster from the apartment, would you say?
It'd be walking distance. I couldn't give an exact distance how far it is from it, but easy to walk to.
Okay, all right, go ahead.
So more trash showing on the counters. So this one just showed the limited amount of food that was in the cabinet and how there was a thing of cereal and that was it in the cabinet. So it was very limited on food. And the daughter had told me that she had a pizza and a Dr. Pepper, and that was all she had.
I'm sorry.
I objected to hearsay.
May I respond?
Yes.
Judge, I would first off say this is an 80325 exception.
Is it hearsay for the Dr. Pepper?
To statements, especially of this officer who's set forth the foundation of his ability to recognize these types of things. That's a statement made in a complaint to establish period as a chancery court proceeding about abuse and neglect, of a minor child in this situation.
Overruled.
You can go ahead. Go ahead and finish with your explanation.
Yes, sir. So when we asked her what she had to eat that day, she said some old pizza and she had a Dr. Pepper and that was all she had to drink. They didn't have any bottled water and apparently she doesn't get water from the sink. So that was all she had that day was one Dr. Pepper.
Excuse me, officer. Are these the same photographs he's referencing that are in the color photographs that you had attached to your motion?
They should be, Judge. When I got these from the city of Dixon, they sent the color ones over and I didn't get any other color ones. So I've got the black and white ones.
You want to utilize those? I notice his are black and white. It may be helpful.
Yes, sir. I was planning on moving those into the evidence instead of these that he's got in his hands.
Show those, officer, to opposing counsel before we go any further.
Thank you, Your Honor.
No problem. I just think it black and white is a little bit harder to see the details. So go ahead.
Yes, sir. So on this one now, if you can see on the color photo, you can see clearly how much dirt there was on that stove and how it appears it wasn't cleaned in a long period of time. In this one, you can see that container of ice cream that I mentioned that was melted ice cream just sitting on the counter. And this was that trash pile that I was discussing and how high the trash was piled up in the cabinet. Further one showing trash on the counter. Again, they're saying they didn't have money for food, but you can see the empty beer containers and cigarettes on the counter where if that money was spent on food for a child versus on alcohol.
Yes, sir.
This one picture shows the trash on the counter and then the very little food that was in that cabinet and nothing fit for a child to consume for a day. This was her bedroom showing just the amount of trash on the floor in the bedroom. And I had to step around everything to be able to even get in that room. You couldn't see the floor due to the amount of trash. Further trash on the floor in her room. And this one, I want to show the garbage bag just sitting there in the bedroom versus being taken out to a dumpster and more trash on the floor.
You said that was in the bedroom?
Yes.
Okay.
Again, a little bit more detail of how much trash was in that bedroom. So this one show more empty cigarette containers and stuff like that on the just by the TV versus in a trash bag. And with cigarettes, they're easy for her to have been able to get to, and if she'd grabbed one of those, it could be very unhealthy for a child for around all that cigarette smoke. Bedroom, the adult bedroom in the apartment, showing how much trash was on the floor in his bedroom, and also slightly cleaner than the child's bedroom where he lived versus where his child lives, which I found that wasn't too conducive to a child. And this one just showing all the cigarette butts and everything else out on the balcony of the apartment.
Does that look like a planter, like for a plant? Is that how you found that?
Yes.
And is that, would you say that's nearly full of just cigarette butts?
Yes. And then empty containers of soda and other trash all piled around it.
Judge, I would introduce that as collective 1 to the court.
Collective 1.
All right, Officer Moss. So, did Robert Allen Gervin eventually show up at the apartment?
Yes, sir.
And your discussions with Mr. Gervin, where did he tell you that actually he had been? Well, what was his reasoning as to why he wasn't there?
He said he was out door dashing because he didn't have a job, so he was trying to get money for his daughter, or to buy spaghetti for his daughter because he said she wanted spaghetti for dinner.
Was there anything else that was said between you and Mr. Robert Allen Gervin that was concerning at all?
Well, he told me how he has had brain cancer and was a veteran, so I tried to give him some pointers on where he could go to, including the VA helpline to be able to get help. I also tried to tell him that he needed to clean his apartment up for her and then take pictures so that way he could show the court that it was cleaned up, which I don't know if he's done or not. I'm not privy to that, but so I tried to give him some pointers on what he needed to do to clean up his act.
Okay. And when you were out there, what other officers were there with you?
Sergeant Rapogel and also Patrolman Lefevre.
Okay. And is there any question at all that, when you showed up, that was John Gervin that was watching Elena?
Not at all. We got his ID.
Okay. So at the end of the day here, Officer Moss, how did you leave the situation with Elena apparently there at the apartment? Did she get to stay there? Did you make her go somewhere else?
No.
What did y'all do?
Based on the safety for Elena, we called her mom. Her mom responded to the apartment, and we brought her out to her mom. And she was crying as we brought her out because she clearly loves her dad, but we couldn't leave a child in those conditions.
Very well. All right, that's all I have, Judge.
Thank you, sir. Examine.
One moment, Judge.
So I am going to definitely, all the stuff I fast forward, welcome new viewers. I'm going to keep flashing what this case is about. It's very intriguing what goes on. Dad sticks up for himself and mom can't stand dad. So this gets a little hairy. So just stick with us. Here we go.
So exhibit number 2, Judge.
No objection being made. Typically, police reports are hearsay and are not admissible, but with the consent of both parties will allow it to be introduced. Sheriff's Department, he can be here in a couple of minutes.
Okay, next up is a sheriff's
Between
deputy.
Elena and her father,
Actually, mom.
Stating
Okay, here we
that
go.
I guess Elena had FaceTimed him. I'm not sure what was in that conversation in the FaceTime, but the text message that came across was stating he will have to wait until I'm done dashing, which kind of concerned me. So I FaceTimed my daughter just to try to see how her night was going. And that is when I was made aware of the fact that she was in the apartment without her father, and she was in the custody of her uncle, who she is not to be around.
Okay. And did you telephone the authorities?
Yes, sir, I did.
And you asked for a welfare check, correct?
Yes, sir.
So at the end of the afternoon there, did you get a call from them to go get Elena?
Yes, sir.
And when you arrived at Mr. Robert Gervin's apartment, what did you observe? What did you do first when you got there? Take the report from start to finish, what happened?
When me and my boyfriend arrived at the apartment, we went up the stairs. We knocked on the door. We walked through the door. Immediately when we walked through the door, Officer Moss met us and was like, I will speak to y'all outside. We were ushered back outside into the breezeway. From then, Officer Moss, communicated with us, took my ID, talked to us about the state of the apartment and his concerns.
Judge, I'm going to object to hearsay.
Again, the 80325 type exception, and he's
Well-
already testified too about what he did.
At this point, I'm not going to overrule the objection. I'm admitting it not to prove the truth of the matter asserted, but rather to show what steps she had taken that evening. And it'll be limited for that purpose.
Go ahead and finish your answer.
We were speaking with Officer Moss. He was explaining us to the concern that he had of the state of the apartment, and that he believed that it would be best that we take Elena home with us that night.
Okay. And in fact, is that what you did?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And since then, and sitting in here today, you've had an opportunity to see the photographs of Mr. Robert Gervin's apartment, correct?
Correct.
And a little history here with Mr. Robert Gervin. Obviously, you've had a child together.
Mm-hmm.
Have you lived with him at some point?
We have, yes.
And for what length of time?
Probably about a year, fully living together.
Okay. Do you, or how do you find, the apartment, the photographs that you saw, and the testimony you've heard today in relation to, what it was when you lived with him?
Judge, I'm going to object to relevance. I'm not sure what this has to do with a restraining order.
It goes to show, and I can call her back, I guess it's a rebuttal, but, he's already attempted to show some photographs of we're all better now with the house and the cleanliness of it. And I'm offering this to show that, this is kind of a pattern with Mr. Gervin, and she definitely has the ability to testify to that, having lived with him.
Well, at this point, we haven't seen those photographs because you objected to them, so I'll have to sustain his objection. It's not relevant at this point. It becomes relevant if and when those photographs are introduced and that Mr. Gervin were to testify as to changes he's made in the conditions.
Okay, thank you, Judge. Has Elena expressed to you things, again, regarding neglect of her over at the apartment that caused you concern?
I wouldn't necessarily say neglect. There has been occasions that she has came home, and just in talking with my daughter, her hair may be tangly, and I'll ask, well, did you brush your hair while you were with your daddy? And there was times that, well, I don't have a hairbrush at daddy's. Ooh. Or, her breath might be kind of stinky. And so I'd be like, well, did you brush your teeth at your daddy's? And her response would be, well, I don't have a toothbrush.
Judge, I'm going to object to hearsay. I don't think this witness can testify as to the statements made by the child.
This poor kid.
This is not rising to the level of abuse, so I sustain the objection.
So let's talk about John Gervin. And you're made aware that John Gervin was left alone with Elena that day.
Yes, sir.
So from your, again, living with Robert Gervin and understanding his brother and the things that Robert Gervin has told you about his brother, why is it concerning to you that Elena was at that point around John Gervin?
Being in a relationship with Robert in the past, there was always concern with the brother being diagnosed with paranoid schizophrenia and having some mental problems. Even back when we were a couple, that was always, in question, and it was
Judge, I'm
brought
gonna
into
enter
question
another.
again.
Judge, I'm gonna object. My objection on this is gonna be twofold. I'm not really sure why any of this testimony about the uncle is relevant. It's my understanding that today's hearing is solely on the restraining order, not about the reasons behind why there's a no contact and why contact with the child is concerning. I get that that's a fine line, but I don't think that that's relevant for purposes of today's prelim.
Well,
on
part
this
of the reason
temporary
the
injunction.
restraining order was issued was because there was an allegation. There's a court order that was entered in this case, and I realize you're filling in, but the order was entered on March 16th from a March 2nd hearing. A specific provision of that order is it is further ordered, judged, and decreed that the minor child shall have absolutely no contact with John Gervin, the brother of the father. That was signed off on by J. Reese Hawley and B. Davis Barnhill. And that was signed by this court, by me. There was a motion to remove the no contact order, and that has never been heard. And then there was a motion for contempt and for sanctions filed by Mr. Hawley for non-payment of child support, apparently. In any event, the motion for an emergency restraining order in this case cites specifically the violation of the order by the child being left alone in the custody of John Gervin. It's in paragraph 4 of the motion for emergency temporary restraining order. Paragraph 4 says, on the 16th day of March 2023, the court entered an agreed order wherein the minor child is to have absolutely no contact with John Gervin, paternal uncle. And then it goes on to cite the fact that the child was found to be in possession of the paternal uncle with whom she is to have no contact. So it's very much a part of this proceeding, and therefore I overrule any objection.
Judge, may I be heard briefly on that issue?
Herein lies the problem. Uncle is hanging out at Dad's house. So Dad's got to answer to that because that's a huge issue.
Pardon?
May I be heard briefly on that issue? Well, I understand that part of the basis for the temporary restraining order was the fact that the child was found with the uncle. That's fine, but we're getting into testimony here about the uncle's mental condition, his diagnoses, and what he's being medicated for. I don't think that testimony specifically is relevant for this TRO hearing. I think that testimony is relevant for the contempt issue that I think Mr. Barnhill and Mr. Hawley have set at the end of this month. That's the basis of the objection.
Well, I'm overruling the objection nonetheless because it does lay a foundation for showing why it is important in this witness's mind that the
special
be complied with. And that is the reason for, as I've stated, that was part of the basis for the court issuing the ex parte restraining order. And therefore I will overrule your objection, allow it, but I think she's established why she had concerns, so I think we can move on.
So, and just to reiterate a little bit, that March 16, 2023 order, you're aware that was an agreed order between you and Mr. Robert Gervin, correct?
Correct.
So, as far as concerns around Elena with Mr. John Gervin, what has Robert Gervin told you specifically as to the reasons why, Elena should not be around John Gervin?
Robert has told me different times that, there is concerns with his brother's temper, whether his brother, is stably taking his medications and things like that. I've been told by Robert before that, he can't take care of himself. The brother cannot. And that, it's hard to be able, it's somehow fallen on him to not only take care of his daughter, but to, I guess, have to take care of his brother as well.
Good.
Right.
And what, again,
what do you mean, what I can do?
So, was it concerning to you that Elena was around John Gervin at that point?
Yes.
That's a tough situation. I mean, Dad actually addresses what he's going to do when he's, this is like a Sophie's choice for him. But, I mean, there really is no choice. It's your daughter. I mean, your daughter comes first. But if the brother has a hard time, I mean, that's tough too. But the brother's got to go. Brother's
When you
got
saw
to
the photographs
go.
that Officer Moss took and that we put into evidence, what concerns you about the photographs of Elena's room?
Not just the trash that was around, but it brought up questions on how long has his brother actually still been around my daughter that I was not brought aware of. There was men's clothing strewn all over, the floor.
Yeah, he's got a lot of stuff going on, Neon.
The bed was not made, and it appears to look like a bunk bed, but only one bed is made. I can't, speak on what his rules are for our daughter when she is in his care, but with, at my house, she knows if she is not laying in her bed is to be made. That's how I know the room is clean and, she has done the chores that she is asked to do.
You concerned, you heard the testimony about today from Officer Moss that apparently, John Gervin was drinking a beer in the morning time.
Mm-hmm.
Based on his, and as you know, and they've already testified to his mental condition, does that concern you that he's ingesting alcohol along with Elena?
That early in the morning, yes.
And you've contacted me and we have filed this emergency temporary restraining order, correct?
Yes.
What are you asking the court to do today as far as the contact between Robert Gervin and Elena?
At the moment, I would like to keep it as it is. He is more than welcome to contact me or his daughter and see her at any time. If we do not have anything going on as far as a sporting event or things like that, he's more than welcome to come to her sporting events. He's more than welcome to contact me or his daughter and ask us to meet up for, a hangout at the park or at Burger King or, anywhere. But I feel like for the time being, it should be put in place that there, is visual proof that the brother is not around, and visible proof that, the apartment is completely cleaned up, in a better state for her to be able to stay with him.
And you talk about sporting events. Elena does track, correct?
I do track and field. She is basically the team's mascot. So.
I assume
At times,
she's a
has he
coach.
picked her up from school there when you're with Elena and things of that nature?
Yes, he is. He has came to Creekwood and picked her up from Creekwood while I'm holding practice.
How would you?
Or dropped her off as well.
As far as, were you ever made aware that DCS has contacted anybody in this case? You heard Officer Moss make a referral.
Officer Moss stated that he was going to put in the referral, but I have not been contacted by anyone from DCS stating that it has gone anywhere.
Have you been made aware as a parent that Elena's been contacted at all?
No.
Did they meet with her at school?
She informed me the next morning after the fact when we were walking to our classrooms, because I work in her school. We were walking through the office and she proceeded to tell me that she had been called to the office the day before and was spoken to by a lady.
And as far as the court, it's up to the court what to do in this situation, but as far as
counsel,
having
no.
some
If there's an
sort
issue
of cooperation that the apartment stays clean, what are you suggesting happen in that regard?
whether it be, whether it be me going to the apartment and physically knocking on the door and being able to step in and, I don't want to look through, his personal belongings or anything like that. That's not my concern, but being able to walk inside the apartment, if I can see that it is physically clean, then I would be okay.
You heard Officer Moss testify that apparently there was only an old piece of pizza and Dr. Pepper that she had to work on all day. Does that cause you concern?
It does.
How so?
It does. I know when she's home with me, I mean, she could easily eat me out of house and home. She's constantly coming and asking for, Mom, can I have a snack? Or Mom, can I get a drink? Or Mom, will you make me this? I'm pretty sure the child would live on macaroni and cheese if I allowed her to. So
What would you say her hunger level is when she returns from Robert Garvin's home?
You did.
she typically, as soon as we walk in, she'll ask if she can go to the pantry and get a snack.
Definitely
that
did.
doesn't raise much concern. She is a growing 8-year-old who, like I said, would eat all day long if I allowed her to. So that doesn't, at the time it didn't concern me when she would come home and be like, Mom, can I have a snack? But after hearing Officer Moss and seeing pictures, it, kind of threw up some questions on how much did she actually eat while she was with her father.
That's all I have, Judge. Thank you.
You may cross-examine.
Mr. Ressler, let me ask, you testified on direct just now with your lawyer about living arrangements with Mr. Gervin. How long ago did y'all live together?
That was back in 2020.
How long was it for?
A year. We were in that place for a year.
What sort of, what was Mr. Gervin's employment like during that 1 year?
I'm sorry?
What was Mr. Gervin's employment like during that year you were living together?
He worked for a company where he was gone for a few weeks and then he would be home for a week.
You say he'd be gone for a few weeks. Where typically would he go?
Wherever his work was at that point.
Like out of state?
Yes.
Okay. So during the year that you lived together, he was gone more often than he was there. Is that right?
Correct.
So if he's gone more often than he's there when you live together, if you have complaints about the house being messy, really wouldn't be entirely his fault, would it?
Why don't you clean it? Imagine he said, why don't you go clean
Well,
it?
I don't live with him now, so.
I'm not talking about right now. I'm talking about during the year period that you guys lived together.
Okay, well, the year period that we lived together, the house was never in a state like his apartment is.
Okay. You didn't testify on direct exam with a lawyer that he had a history of being messy?
I mean, yes, there is a history, but he would never help me clean without being asked.
What would you describe as his messy then?
Things left out, containers left out, cans left out, clothes not put in laundry hampers.
Whoa.
Let me ask you, you testified that you wanted visual proof that the house is clean and that you wanted visual proof that the brother's not there. What sort of visual proof do you need that I guess John, I think is his name, that John's not there?
Well, I would just need to know that, he's, especially if she's, if he's not going to be in the apartment, then I would need to know that my daughter is not left with the brother. In our previous order that we are working on now, and that we are trying to come in agreement with, I clearly have tried to reason with Mr. Gervin in allowing Elena to be around his brother. But I don't agree with my daughter being around him unsupervised, given his history.
When you say him, you're talking about the brother.
Yes.
So you're not entirely opposed to the minor child being around the uncle?
No, sir. It just does not need to be unsupervised ever.
The lawyer's, he's not doing a good cross-examination, at least in my opinion.
Give me 1 second, Judge.
Let's get a live look in to Judge Boyd. Let's go. And put this on pause. Let's go to live looking. Little Judge Boyd.
Could I have parties announced for the record for the state?
Hank Wilson for the state, Your Honor.
For the defense?
Michael Lee at this time, Your Honor.
All right, and are you Mr. Quarles?
That's correct.
All right, your attorney has filed a motion to withdraw. Do you have any objection to the motion to withdraw?
No.
All right, then the motion to withdraw is granted. Your excuse, counsel.
Thank you.
Oh, withdrawn all over the place today. It's like the third one in Judge Boyd's court.
All right, so Mr. Quarles, if you just have a seat, we'll get an attorney appointed for you, okay?
Okay.
All right.
Boy, these people get their free attorneys. They are quite entitled. Oh, here comes Jacques Cousteau. Yeah. Come on, Judge Boyd. Enough for nothing. How many channels have Judge Boyd clips now? It's disgusting. I don't even premiere her anymore. It's a shame. I used to do archives with her and everything. There's so many bad channels, guys. It's getting flooded. I'm sorry. No effort. They hit record and it's just, here you go. Here's the clip. And it doesn't even take any effort because Judge Boyd keeps her clips up. So it's literally a money grab. It's really disgusting. It really is. All right, let's go back to Wolf.
Octavia Day.
Oh, here we go. We got it. Sorry. Here we go. Let's see. Let me yell at somebody. Let's go. I need a little Judge Boyd. Ooh, lady in red. Oh, she's definitely late. Oh, Neon.
All right, so where are we on this case?
Judge, I filed a motion for continuance and we're down to impact and Judge O'Connell sent us up here.
Okay. Have you tendered the motion to continuance to the defense?
Certainly be, you filed, do you want to?
Okay, all right.
Cheek to cheek. That is a red suit if I've ever seen one. Double-breasted. Got a little scarf, little pirate thing going on.
Court is calling 2023 CR 9388, State of Texas versus Octavia Day. Can I have the parties announced for the record for the state?
Hank Wilson for the state, Your Honor.
Defense?
Elizabeth Russell for Octavia Day.
And are you Miss Day?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, so the state has filed a motion for continuance. State?
Your Honor, the investigator in this case, Investigator Nino, filed a subpoena for some Cash App records that we think would be helpful for the case here and necessary for the case. And so that was just filed yesterday. And so we're asking for more time to get those records, Judge.
All right. And wasn't this supposed to be an impact court?
Was, Your Honor, I think it was sort of down on the list. I believe it's like a third setting, Judge.
So did the impact court hear your motion for continuance? Because the cases that are scheduled for jury trial today are family violence cases.
So Judge, I can provide some clarity on that. Ms. Day was originally set for impact court yesterday, but she had a motion for permission to travel, which you granted. It was through yesterday. So the court set her for today, and impact court. And then Judge O'Connell told us to come upstairs to the 187 to hear the motion for continuance.
All right. So then,
She's not up for trial, Judge, downstairs, there's someone else ahead of her. That's
all
good.
right. So with regards to the motion for continuance, I'll hear it when it's ripe. It's not really ripe because you all are set in impact court and impact court haven't called you yet. If impact court calls you all for jury trial, then I will hear the motion for continuance. But if they're currently in a jury trial, and all parties know that when I'm trying a family violence case, it's family violence week. So family violence cases are ahead of this case. The family violence cases that I'm trying are older than this case because this case has been on the docket since January 2024. The family violence cases that the court is scheduled to try are older than this case. So that's why you're all in impact.
And so Judge, are you declining to rule on the motion for continuance? At this
Yes,
time?
until it's right. It's not ripe yet.
And so we need to go back down to Judge O'Connell to get a ruling on the motion for continuance because we were set at impact court.
No, what you need to do is go back to Judge O'Connell. And if this is actually going to trial where you all have a jury that he's selecting on this case, then if he wants me to hear the motion for continuance, I'll hear it. But it's the court's understanding. And if my understanding is incorrect, let me know. My understanding is there's something else that's in trial down there now.
No, ma'am, I think we're supposed to pick tomorrow on a different case, on a DWI case.
But it's my understanding that Judge O'Connell hasn't decided which case is set for trial, that the state is announcing not ready. And since we're on the trial docket, it is necessary
that.
for the judge to determine whether or not the state's motion for continuance is granted at this time. But I'll go back down to Judge O'Connell to get a ruling on that motion. for
Oh
continuance.
God.
Oh, well, you
Hold
can go
on,
back
guys.
down to Judge O'Connell and let Judge O'Connell know when this is up for trial and it's between you or a DWI case, and he's made a decision that the DWI case is going before this, then there's no need for me to hear this motion. If he's making the determination, hey, that this is the case that's going before the DWI trial, then you all can come up here. I'll be up here and I'll make a ruling on the motion for continuance. But right now it's not ripe. It's sort of as though I'm ruling on a motion for continuance, and impact court is similar to rocket docket, and you all are not up. So
it's
when y'all
court's
are up-
understanding until a case is the number one on the docket that a motion for continuance is not right.
I don't know how further I have to explain this to y'all, but I've told y'all I'm not ruling on it yet.
Love it.
Okay, thank you, Judge.
You're welcome. Stefan Brown.
You come back home more.
On that case for Mr. Bunk, it is an NTR set on Thursday. He has a new DWI with child awaiting indictment. We have been conferring with Jason Garahan about this defendant, about the two cases. And we've sort of agreed that Mr. Brown is going to do several classes and some stuff up front as we work towards a resolution. So we're just asking the court for more time to give Mr. Brown time to get those classes.
All right, what are the classes and how long are you estimating the classes will take?
A DWI intervention class. I believe there was a drug offender education program class. I know at least those two things, Your Honor.
All right, so this is going to have to be taken care of before Fiesta, because Fiesta is, you know, alcohol
Right.
on,
Yes, ma'am.
you know.
I mean, what, if the court, I'm not sure when Fiesta is.
No, I mean, what I'll do is Fiesta, they've extended it to the entire month of April, but what I'll do is I'll recall this. I can recall this for April 4th. Oh, Ms. Abrams, can you come forward? This is Stefan Brown. All right, on this case, it's not set today, but, all right, so they're asking if this could be recalled on a different date because the state wants him to do certain classes. And the DWI that's in it, they don't have the discovery for that yet. So it seems like things may work out if he completes all of his courses. So I wanted her before Fiesta gets into the full swing of things. So April 4th. All right,
Yes, ma'am. Thank you, Judge.
you're welcome.
What's Fiesta?
You too.
Party? What does that have to do with his court case? Anybody? That attorney is like that episode of The Office, Hillary Swank. She's good looking, but not hot. That's how I feel when I see her. She's good looking, but not hot.
Norma, this case is not on the docket today, but it's been recalled for April 4th.
Everybody's got swag today. Swag-goo today in Judge Boyd. All right, let's get back to Wolf.
I think you testified, and correct me if I'm wrong, but you testified earlier that some of the concern you had was that specifically with your daughter's room, there were clothes on the floor and beds weren't made. Was that right?
Correct.
Isn't that normal for an 8-year-old child, though? To not want
Not filth.
Not want to do their chores and pick up their clothes. Isn't that kind of normal?
Yes, yes. There is times that I have to stay on her, even at my house, that she needs to clean her room. But I can tell her, you know, Elena, like you need to go clean your room or X, Y, and Z is going to happen, whether I'm taking away phone privilege or I'm not allowing her, you know, to talk, you know, go to a friend's house or anything. Like she knows that it is expected of her at my house that her room is to be cleaned. And she is very good at, you know, if I notice that her room is clean and I say, Elena, you need to go clean your room, she will go clean her room. But every morning before we go to school, she makes her bed.
Oh, Dad's great, Laura. All right, here we go. So we're gonna jump. Jump.
The movement has rested their proof.
Okay.
You wish to offer any proof in rebuttal?
Yes, Judge. I'm going to call Mr. Gervin.
Mr. Gervin, if you'll come forward, please.
All right, here we go. Papa.
Mr. Gervin, can you state your full name for the record, please?
Yes, it is Robert Allen Gervin.
Mr. Gervin, I understand you have a daughter, is that right?
Yes, sir.
What's your daughter's name?
Elena Tressler.
How old is she?
8.
Okay. And can you tell the court what kind of parenting plan, what kind of parenting time you get with your daughter prior to this restraining order?
I get 2 days during the week and then every other weekend. I get, from 3 o'clock to 7 o'clock on the 2 days during the week. And then I usually pick her up lately it's been on Fridays from 3 and then I drop her off usually around 6 on Sunday. I'm supposed to have her till 7, but I always get there about around an hour early.
Okay. What sorts of things do you do with your daughter?
We jumped, Bob. We watched Little Boyd.
So I have short-term memory loss, so it's hard for me to remember what I do. Basically, we hang out at the house lately because I've been having trouble making money. And so that's all we've been doing, but usually we'd go fishing, we'd go to some wild refugees. I think that's what it's called, like camping sites, kind of.
Wild refugees.
Go there, and then we come home.
Forgive me for asking. This may just be.
Did he say wild refugees? Oh, Hondurans? Mexicans? Oh. They're seeking asylum? Oh, look at that one, honey.
Mr. Barnhill, but you said you have short-term memory issues. Is that because of the
What up,
cancer,
Freddie?
tumor, and cancers?
Yeah, they cut out the short term in my brain, so I do have short term memory loss. Long term, I can remember things from like 5 years ago, like as if it happened yesterday. But short term, my memory goes.
Is that something that can that get better? Is that treated with medication or anything like that?
I take medication, but the medication I take every day is for seizures. It prevents seizures.
Are you taking those medications as prescribed?
Every day.
Up to date, current?
Mhm.
Haven't had any issues with seizures lately?
No way.
You testified that here lately you've been having trouble earning money or trouble working, so you guys would hang out at the house. Are you currently employed as it stands today?
Yes.
Okay. Tell the court a little bit about that.
No, I got hired a week ago. Last Thursday, I got hired by a place called Midas. It's in Dixon, Tennessee. I had got my first paycheck today.
Okay. How much are you making it?
You mean like Midas Muffler? A place called Midas? Like people don't know what that is?
Midas.
$15 an hour.
Not bad.
And you just started, you said a week ago?
Yes.
What's your schedule like over there?
Right now, I'm working every day. Usually about 10, 11, sometimes even 12 hours.
All right.
On average, about 40 hours a week, you would suspect, or more?
Right now, it's looking at 50 to 60 hours a week.
Okay. And do you get time and a half when you work overtime?
Yes. If I go past 40, yes.
Now, you've seen the pictures that have been shared with the court and entered into evidence. You've heard the testimony. Your troubles working and earning money, is that the reason why you were having trouble
Cleaning.
with groceries?
Yeah, same with
Cleaning.
groceries. Originally, I had gotten fired from Walmart for absences when I was trying to deal with my brother. So I ended up getting fired from Walmart, and then I figured I'll go to APSU, start school with my VA bill, and they would pay me. Problem is it was taking too long to get payment from the VA, so I had to quit school and then came back. So I started doing Instacart anyway to make money, and the day that the cops got called to my house was a day when I didn't have any money. But before all this, these past few months, I was making child support payments on time. My rent was being paid, my electric, all the bills were paid, and I still had a little bit left over. But right now, I went downhill. I don't have much right now, and I'm trying to work to get that back. I'm trying to work to pay everything off, and it's starting to go. But it'll take me a little bit more time to get fully up to where I can, and then hopefully go past that and start to reach my maximum capability.
So your testimony is that these issues were basically the product of a temporary hardship.
Exactly.
Okay. At any point when Elena was in your care, did you ever let her go hungry?
No, if she was hungry, I found a way.
Did you ever let her go thirsty?
No. If she was thirsty, I would scrape I would get quarters out of my box to buy her what she wanted. The things that she had was the things that she wanted, not just leftover stuff.
If it had ever gotten to a point where you couldn't scrape together and make it happen, would you have reached out to the mom for help?
I usually did, but they have problems too. My whole family has problems right now. It's very hard to get help.
Would you have ever reached out to Ms. Tressler for help?
Not with the way that she's been behaving. Meaning bringing up, I'm afraid to ask for help from the mother because I'm afraid I'm going to be stuck in situations like I am today. Anything I ask for, I'm afraid it's going to be turned back around on me.
Let me ask you, if your child needed it, your child depended on it,
If there was no other option, I
there's no
would.
other option, would you put that aside and ask Ms. Tressler for help?
I would.
Did you ever have to ask Ms. Tressler for help?
No, it always comes at the last minute. I finally get some help.
You heard Officer Moss testify earlier that he gave you some advice on how to get your, I think as he put it, get your act together.
Yeah.
Okay. What steps have you taken to resolve some of these issues since that time?
Oh, I called, he gave me a number. It was 933. Don't ask me how I remember it. It's just in my head. But he gave me that number and I called them. And I was put on hold for a while, so I ended the call. You know, I'm running out of time. So I can't spend, an hour on hold waiting to talk to somebody. I need
Sorry.
help. And I can't get help from anybody. There's nobody that is willing to do anything to help me get out of this situation so that way I can go further. It's sad to me. I've applied to food stamps. I've applied to housing. Housing told me I'm a veteran. I got to go on the veterans list. The food stamps, they don't want to give me anything. I don't know why. I can't get anything from food stamps. I can't get anything from the veterans program. I can't get help anywhere. And I am trying my hardest to do everything I possibly can. And it's exhausting. It is flat out exhausting. I have my brother. I got to take care of him every now and again because sometimes he forgets his meds, and when he does, his brain goes wild. But he has never been a single harm to any child. We had medical reports on that. He is not a harm to a child, and when he thinks he's going to harm himself, he checks himself into a hospital.
Let's. I don't want to talk about your brother. I still wanted to focus on you. Is it your testimony that you still need the help you were searching for now that you're working at Midas?
Oops, sorry about that, guys.
Or now that you're working at Midas, can you afford food?
I can. It'll take a week, but I'll have money to buy food. I'll fill my kitchen up in a week.
Okay. Did you go grocery shopping this morning?
No, my brother did.
Is it you got paid today, right?
I got paid today.
Okay. You gonna go grocery shopping today?
Yes. After I get out of here, I have to go grocery shopping.
You saw the pictures of the condition of your apartment.
Yes, and I felt disgusted by it.
Okay. You cleaned it?
Yes.
Okay. Officer Moss testified that he directed you to take pictures to show the court. Did you do so?
Yes.
Okay. Would you recognize some of those pictures if I show them to you
How did he let it get that bad?
right now?
Yes.
How?
Second, Judge. Sir, do you recognize these pictures on this iPad?
Yes.
Okay.
A messy apartment.
This first photo, is this the photo you were given in the papers you served with?
Yes.
What's the second photo there show?
After I had cleaned.
What does it show specifically?
Just a coffee mug and just part of the stovetop, but nothing else.
Clean countertop, clean stove?
A clean countertop.
Recognize that picture?
Yes.
Is that the exact same picture as before?
Yes.
What is this picture here?
That is where we had a bunch of cardboard boxes. Those rooms have been cleaned up a little bit, but I have been limited on my time working 10 to 12 hours a day. So I can only get like an hour to clean, and some of them were horrible and needed more time to be cleaned.
Is it your plan to keep
Mm-hmm.
your efforts going to clean the apartment for your daughter?
Yes.
Okay. Now, you were here earlier when the judge was asking Ms. Tressler some questions about the photos. I think the judge held the photos up and you could see them on the screen. The judge was talking about where some of the child's clothes are. Let's talk about that for a second. When your daughter's at your house, where are her clothes normally?
They're folded in her dresser.
Do they ever go into the closet?
No, all of her clothes. I don't have a lot of clothes for her, but the clothes that she does have at my house, they are usually folded up and put it into it, or they're in a laundry hamper usually. But I don't have every day with her, so she doesn't have a lot of clothes, and the clothes that she does wear go back to her mom's.
So is it your testimony that the pictures the judge was referencing earlier, your child's clothes would have been neatly folded and placed in the dresser, and that's why they're not there?
Yes. She's a good girl. I don't have to yell at her. I don't have to punish her. Nothing like that.
She's
a
not the
great
one in
kid.
question.
If I ask her to do something, she does it. She doesn't question.
Her behavior is not in question, dude.
Well, even if she does questions, I can respond to her. I just talk to her, and she pretty much will do what I ask her to do. I'm not manipulating her, nothing like that. She's a good kid, and she's intelligent, very intelligent, smarter than I am. I never made straight A's, but she has straight A's right now.
She's 8.
I usually, when she comes home, I read to her. Or I was before.
Read the want
No,
ads.
she's almost outread me. It's kind of weird.
I don't think that's difficult, Mr. Garvin.
You heard some testimony from Ms. Tressler earlier, an argument from her lawyer about maybe you being a messy person, and that this isn't the first time your apartment would have looked like this.
Usually my apartment is pretty clean. I do sometimes fall off track and it gets messy, and then I fix it. I go.
The way the cop described it, it didn't look like he got off track. Like, that's not off track when the cop said it's the most disgusting apartment I've ever seen in my life. That's not off track. Let's get that straight.
Clean for a while, then I fall off track. It gets messy. It goes back and forth. You know,
No,
but for the
it
most
doesn't.
part, I try to do the best I can.
And that's normal, would you say?
It's normal. I think that happens with a lot of people.
No.
You know, sometimes you forget to throw your plate away, or sometimes you forget to wash the dishes because you've been working all day. You had something else going on that made you exhausted.
Hmm.
You heard Ms. Tressler testify earlier that she doesn't want to keep your child away from you, that you can see your child as often as you like. She just wants visual proof of some things. Do you remember that?
Yeah, I don't quite understand it.
How do you feel about Ms. Tressler's request that she be able to walk around your apartment to give approval on whether or not?
Oh, that would be fine
apartment's
with
sufficient?
that would be fine with me if I can walk around her house. Because if we're gonna have an even split, then if she's gonna walk through my house, I believe I have the right to walk through hers.
Do you have any concerns as to her house?
No, not necessarily, not right now, but I'm not walking through her house. I go in every now and again, but even if the house is dirty, I'm not really one to report it. What I think to myself is maybe she needs help. Maybe she needs I got to hurry up and get the child support so that way she can have help. In some way I can relieve her of it, not punish her, not take the kid away. My kid loves her just as much as she loves
Neon.
me. I don't want to take that from her.
Yes.
I can have all the hateful feelings I want against her, but it doesn't matter because it's about what my child wants. That's what I'm concerned with.
Let me ask you, do you believe it's in your daughter's best interest that she not be allowed to see her dad on a regular basis?
No, I think she needs us both. Her mom can be the emotional love support that every kid needs. But when she gets older and has to face the real world, she'll need somebody that can push her to accomplish what she needs to accomplish, to be able to face anything.
You?
That comes from the father. The mother can support it a little bit, but at the end of it, it's the father who can get a child to do what they need to do.
What? I missed that. Oh, did you really just say that? What a doof. What an absolute asshole. Why would you say that? Even if it is true. You don't say that.
This court to do at the end of the day.
Well, for this hearing, Drop the child order. It was a mistake. It won't happen again. I can say that I can get my brother away, but he also can support me too. We kind of need each other. But if the court says he can't be around my brother, then it's done. I'll send him somewhere else. He'll move somewhere else. I'll have to deal with it all by myself. But for this, I wish this would go away, and I want to get a trial date. So I want to settle this, but every order I get, it's always somewhat off. There's always something that's off.
Robert, I don't want to talk about your brother, and I don't want to talk about the no contact with your brother. I don't want to talk about the contempt actions, specifically as it pertains to this restraining order. Are you telling the court that this was a one-off situation? This isn't the normal?
Yeah,
This department looks like.
This is a one-off.
Yeah, right.
You're asking the court to resolve the restraining order and let you exercise parenting time with your child.
I would greatly appreciate that.
Judge, I think that's all I've got.
Oh, all right, they go to lunch after that. Guys, this was great. About an hour and a half. This was awesome. We usually have over 200-300 viewers, but today, easing back in. People didn't even know I'm going live again. Next week, I'm going to be live 5 days a week. I am back, baby. I know I keep saying that, but this time's for real. Basketball's winding down for my daughter. Coaching's done for me. I am back, guys. You are my favorite. Thank you so much. We are so close to 60K and 100K. We could smell it. By the summer, I'll have my gold play button in the back, and our goals have been accomplished, and it's because of you guys. Thank you so much. Look out, I'm dropping a video today also. I will see you later. This is Time, and you've been served.